was a challenge to try and capture something as iconic as Alcatraz. You know about this. This is arguably the most famous prison in the world, and now you're in it.
Just the space, you know, the physicality of it, because it's quite claustrophobic. When modern-day prisons are designed, they really consider not intimidating people or making the spaces, you know, as least stressful as possible. Well, Alcatraz didn't suffer from those restrictions.
They did the research, they went out, studied Alcatraz, not just from books or internet. They were actually there to feel the environment, so it really sets a mood that gets you a little spooked.
Well, we kind of started with the base layout of Alcatraz. The entire island we ended up roughing out in kind of a white box form, and then figuring out what play spaces we wanted to use out of that, what would be the most interesting areas to play in, and the connections between spaces, and spaces that the public doesn't necessarily
you don't have to play with me. I mean, it doesn't matter if you play with me or not.
We really did a lot of pushing to really enhance that psychological horror aspect that we're really looking for. This is a really good opportunity to really tell something special.
Just being a part of the clan will earn the clan XP. Like, for their
This time
daily
around, I
challenges,
feel like
it'll be random
it's been
stuff,
identified
like
that there are
headshots
these
or
side missions that you're
pulls
going to
from
go out and try
behind
to
or,
accomplish. Al and the rest of the groups put together this
whatever, like
escape
every day
plan.
is something
But the
different.
point is to get the parts and assemble this plane
I know
so
we're
they can
coming
get
up on,
off
like-
the island.
We did something new for the first time. We have actually contextual music that goes off. So that's a first for zombies. And it's all based around this horror thriller aspect.
Every location will have a specific stinger that you hear when you find it, when you discover it, when you start unraveling
Black
the
Ops 2 that
story,
much, but
we
if you
start
play
building
anytime
on
you're
the
playing
music
Black
that
Ops
you're
2,
hearing, and it's really enhancing that experience and going along with it in parallel.
Because we wanted to embrace this kind of horror thriller element, we wanted character actors,
Okay,
guys
I'll
who
send you
could
the
really
invite.
embody
And if
someone
your
and then
friend wants
convey
to join,
emotion.
if you got
So that's why we
anybody
went for
else
guys
want to
like
join,
Ray
let me know.
Liotta. Getting in that kind of guy, you know, we wanted a frantic nature, so he plays a character called Billy Handsome, who's this kind of psychopath who would be employed by the mob to kill people in interesting ways. Chaz Palminteri, he plays a guy called Sal DeLuca, an old mob boss. Michael Madsen playing Finn O'Leary. He's kind of worked himself from the floor, you know, from the streets. He's got his hands dirty in the blood and the guts a couple of times. And then we had Joe Pantoliano, and he plays Arthur Arlington, who's nicknamed the Weasel.
Those guys, they bring a quality and a subtlety and timing that you can't really identify or try to recreate.
I was just looking.
Bring it on! Dirtbags!
I might stay on here for like another half hour.
You start off in the afterlife mode, and that's just going to be, you know, what's going on. You're going to try to solve the mystery from the second you start. Afterlife, to me, brings a new element, like a new puzzle. Forces me to think a little bit more, or look for the clues, or kind of think of zombies on slightly deeper level. You see clues throughout the map that tell you, ooh, perhaps if I'm in the afterlife, I can interact with this object, or there's some puzzle going on here that I need to be in the afterlife.
Back east, I whacked a dirty dentist with one of these. Took forever, too.
Alcatraz has a Civil War kind of fort
Yeah, no, that's cool.
before it turned into a penitentiary.
Yeah, it don't matter.
And so
I
we
mean,
had
you
this kind of
can-
backstory, the
you can
idea
check
that the
if
warden
you ever
would have collected Civil War weapons.
Like our plan, and you want to see that.
And one of them is a blundergat. It's a fictional weapon, but the idea of the combination between a blunderbuss and a Gatling gun. And possibly, there might be a way of upgrading it to a more fantastical weapon that the players may find.
I don't know if you'll get like the double XP that we already had gotten.
There's one main zombie, one big zombie that's going to come through and wreak havoc on your life. He'll lock down the perk machine, he'll close down the box, so you have to pay to get that open again, so you don't want him to interfere with your process.
Now's a good time to pick a fight.
It's a fun challenge. It keeps things moving forward.
In terms of perks, we have a new perk called Electric Cherry. When you reload, it gives a shock around you, which scales over time.
Who's asking for his beach ball?
There is so much to experience in this map. Every
Yeah,
time
but it
I
don't
play,
really matter.
there's a
All
new
it does
tactic
is
to take, a new
those
experience, a new
competitions
objective
just
to go
help
for.
you earn clan XP towards
But there's
leveling
also
up.
this layer of things that we aren't exactly exposing to the players right off the bat, and will need to be discovered.
Don't let me go. Is it the
Oh yeah, especially right now, we'll dominate now because there's not as many people playing now.
We got the
so if we get a
in
few
there,
of
we've
us
got
that
these
are
historical
good,
elements, and these
it's only
fantastic
your
actors
top
all
6
seem to be
scorers
compete with
contribute.
each other in this kind of same world. So
there's no
it's
advantage for
magical, and our
clans to
team
have
is
more
incredibly
people.
excited
So
by it.
if our top 6 score pretty good, then we can get like gold every time. We get like bronze, silver, and gold for the event. And like silver is like top 50%, and then gold is the top 25%. So it's not even really that. It was over 20, but now a lot of people quit playing.